noise in your head. Slow down. Watch the thoughts float on by. Slow down. Quiet the noise in your head. Slow down. Watch the thoughts float on by. Breathe in.
So today, thank you very much. Today the topic is taking it to the streets. And as we welcome our senior minister to the podium, we'd like to give her a little message.
1, 2, 3, 4. Taking it to the streets. Taking it to the streets. Taking it to the streets. Taking it to the streets.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Full of surprises, aren't we? Good morning. Good morning. I'm Rev-Sharon Dunn-Alberg, and I am your Senior Minister, Spiritual Director here at the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living, where we believe that you can change your life by changing your thinking. Yes, we do believe that. We might put that on the outside of the building for everyone to know. So we have just a couple of quick, exciting things that we are celebrating today that I want to bring to light. And one of them is tomorrow's Earth Day. And Earth Day is definitely going to be a part of the conversation today, because we're talking about taking it to the streets. And what better way than to think about reducing, reusing, and recycling. And that can be behavior as well. I just wanted you to know, because energy's energy, right? Energy's energy, and it affects our world. And we're taking care of our world. So this week, we're celebrating Earth Day, and up your game is absolutely a choice you can make this week. Up your game. You know, it's funny because in Roseville, we don't recycle. which is really sad. And then we go to our houseboat, which we live most of the time, and we recycle everything. And so I'm constantly running to the trash can because we're kind of used to being in Roseville. And I run, oh no, we can put that in the recycling. Oh yeah, we're there. So I'm sure Roseville recycles when they take everything to the recycling center. They sort it. Ew. Anyway, good for them. But is everybody kind of happy Earth Day? Yeah. Everybody kind of thinking about, what I could do what I could do. Pick up garbage, do something. And I think that'll make us feel like we are really celebrating Earth Day. I did have a little thing on Earth Day that it started in 1970. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. And by Senator Gaylord Nelson. There were absolutely no laws. You could do anything. There was no way that we could take anyone to court. We could pollute the rivers willy-nilly. We could pollute the world willy-nilly, and he just didn't like that. And this is a lot about what we're talking about today. When we talk about taking it to the streets, we're not talking about creating more violence in the world by any means, by being angry and hateful but rather, what can we do that works for everyone? What can we do to participate in being for something and against nothing? So anyway, I thought, yay, Gaylord. I thought we should, acknowledge him today. So I'm going to call Larry up here. To talk to you for a minute. Larry, Mr. Larry. This is Larry Alberg. You might recognize the last name. These are the slides you're going to be working with, and here's your microphone. I think
Thank you.
Bend down on that.
I'm fine.
And here's your little button.
All right. I thought that was you.
Oh dear.
So we have made some progress, and after service, anybody, I'll kind of give a couple tours back there. The sanctuary is coming together. We knew we had some rotten wood up in the ceiling. It was causing I don't know if you recall, before we put this post in, we had a sag in here. I jacked it up. Well, in there it was even worse. It was over 3.5 inches to the middle that it had sagged down because people had, over the years, compromised the beam, and then the critters had gotten in there, and the rot, and all kinds of stuff. In fact, a couple days ago, I was chopping the last of it out of there, and had a beam kind of blew up, ripped off my goggles and my face mask, and I ended up in the urgent care with scratched eye. Anyway, but we're okay. And
you prayed for him.
So this shows what we did. One of the things that, we're being mindful of our money, right? And in order to build a beam to span the sanctuary, I had estimates from $4,000 to $6,000 for the beam. And I walked into Home Depot, and there was free wood. I've never seen it before. Talked to other people, and they're going, what? But there was free wood. Anyway, we built this beam, Craig and I. And so then I put these temporary walls up this last week. This one in the foreground, you can see one in the background, got the beam. And we had to have the beam in place before we built temporary walls. So anyway, what I ended up doing was cutting all of the old rotten wood out, making a pocket so that we could put the beam up in there. And then
that's a video.
Yeah, there's a little video here.
Yep, go ahead.
You get to watch me magically.
She'll do it for you.
Oh, okay. So that beam weighs just over 450 pounds. And I'm just putting it up in place so that we can get everything out of there. And now it's up. It's all, you can see the the hangers tied into the joists. And if you go back there, you'll see a complete open space, and the sanctuary looks really big now. So.
Apparently, they would have condemned the building if it weren't for us. So it's a win-win, right? And so I am here asking for demonstrations. And what is demonstration in our language? Answered prayer, something that you prayed for or had others pray for you that happened. Any demonstrations? There's one.
When our life was suddenly interrupted by me falling down the stairs, Doug took immediate and early retirement. So he went on to Cobra, which at his age, no offense, was incredibly expensive. So we found a covered California plan, which was, it went from $1,400 to $700. I mean, this was just, that was answered prayer back then. But because I was a little involved in other things, I didn't stop the payments to the Cobra when I started payments to the covered California. So Kaiser got double payments.
Wow.
It's been 2 years.
Oh my.
And I just forgot, and I'd occasionally write a letter and say, you know, you really need to look at this. And I finally said, enough. I asked for treatment, and the next week I got a check for $91. And I'm going, that's nice, but that's not the $4,000 I'm looking for. But it had a phone number on it. So I called the phone number, had this lovely conversation with this wonderful woman. You know, not being on hold forever. It was just this wonderful thing. And Doug got a text. Our check will be here in 10 days. It's just under $4,000.
And won't that help when you're traveling over
Oh my
around
Lord,
Europe?
I changed reservations to move in closer. It's like, it's only $150 more. We can do it.
We got this money. Oh, that's a wonderful,
Oh.
wonderful. God is good. God is good. So let's do our vision together, our vision, mission, and purpose. Together, we are a welcoming sanctuary community where all are accepted, valued, and supported in the global family. Our mission, we inspire personal and global transformation through the teachings of science of mind. And our purpose, in joy and love, we connect in service to all life. Wonderful. And I'm going to call this manifester up here to do our invocation.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Speak up, I can hear it already. There is great joy abounding, great life abounding. It can be seen everywhere. In the gorgeous spring flowers, in the freshness in the air. This is life, living abundantly as our world. And that same life, that same spring newness is the life that is living me right now, and the life that is living you right now. Feel it like you're a tree with your roots into the ground and the sap is rising. Green life is rising and moving through every cell, every muscle, every thought, every emotion. Newness abounds. The old is swept away in the storms of spring, and there's nothing to see but sunshine. Remember, the sun is always shining. We may not see it because of the clouds, but the sun is always shining. And in that same way, whether we can see it or not, perfect life, wholeness, the flow of the infinite is moving through us and out into our lives every moment. This is what is real. That flow of life. That flow of newness. And this morning, I toss myself into the flow of newness, to float, to listen to the inspiring words and music, to feel the love in this community. Let it embrace me. For it is the flow of life that is being me. And I accept it with great thanks for all. And so it is.
Yes.
So it is.
Readings. From Ernest Holmes. The principle of love is the great transforming power which brings everything into harmony. And again from Holmes. If we would look for a God of love, we must look long and deeply into each other. We must look away from the differences until we penetrate into the unity of the whole. Love alone reveals love. Hate but hides the gleam. Life is not only where we are, it is what we are. It is in us as well as around us. And its whole impulsion is love. The universe does not rest on the shoulders of love. Love is the real lodestone of life. Isn't that gorgeous? And now, the One Love Band.
It's got a mind of its own. I've been taking some classes from our wonderful Reverend Sharon and Reverend Patricia, and it's starting to be really transformative for me. And I know a lot of us have been children of trauma, but before I was exposed to all that trauma until I really understood that's not really how life should be. I had a sense, a very spiritual sense as a child, what the truth was for me. I was a very happy child. I was very artistic and creative. I hear whole symphonies in my head. And I could fly at night. And I did that often. And that's where I found my joy and peace. And now, the other end of life, I'm finding it again. So, the song is called Soul Fly. When I was young, before I learned to walk, I would stare at the sky. I knew I could fly, and at night I would take flight, soaring over city lights. it's taken a lifetime to heal my broken ways. There's a way to think, words so encouraging. And when I found my voice, every time I sing, feel my wings, I can feel the rain. And here I am, telling you my truth. We were born to serve. We were born to serve. So sing a song, sing a song, evermore, evermore. Spread your wings, spread your wings, let yourself soar. We were born to fly, born to fly. We were born to fly, born to fly, born to fly, born to fly. We were born to fly. Come on, everybody. We were born to fly, born to fly, born to fly, born to fly, born to fly. We were born to fly, born to fly. So
Wow. I am so moved by that. I was just singing away, like I knew the song. And that was the first time we heard it. It was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Oh my goodness. Again, good morning. Good morning. As you know, April, we are looking at giant gentleness as a theme. And I asked 2 weeks ago, what do you deeply love about yourself? Do you remember? Do you remember me asking that? Have you been contemplating that? What do you love about yourself?
I am love.
You are love. Anybody? Anybody else contemplating this? What do you love about yourself? I want you to really be thinking about it. You know, have more opinion about love than anything else this month. Giant gentleness. And so our topic today is taking it to the streets, as we know. And I'm going to give you a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. It is easy in the world to live after the world's opinion. It is easy in solitude to live after our own. But the great person is one who in the midst of the crowd keeps with perfect sweetness the independence of solitude. Emerson. And why am I quoting Emerson? As I said 2 weeks ago, I was so excited to be with Emerson this month. And I am bringing back our little genealogy chart just to remind you of the relationship between Emerson and Ernest Holmes. As you can see, Emerson is up there in that top arrow, and then the line goes straight down to Ernest Holmes. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so I have decided to teach Roots. And Roots are studying 3 people, Emerson, Emma Curtis Hopkins, and Thomas Troward. And so I'm going to be teaching that. There's a slide going up on the website. Because Ernest Holmes is amazing, and because Emerson has my attention right now. And I just keep going deeper and deeper into Stoicism that I mentioned last time. Do you remember me mentioning Stoicism? Which is really different than being stoic. And we're going to talk a little bit about more of that today. We're actually going to talk about the justice cardinal principle of Stoicism. And I think that I want to talk about justice because of where we're at right now in our country. You know, we've got 7 months ahead of us to consider how we want to influence our democracy, our world. And so I'm very excited that we have a positive stance that we can take, and it comes from Stoicism. Now, the 3 things that I have focused on today is love is the essence of gentleness. And the second one is act rather than react. And the third is apply gentleness to perceptions and actions. And the spiritual principle, and I was like so glad Patricia's here because I love finding a principle. I always do. I find a principle that matches the conversation that I want to have. And this one has been a bone of contention for people. We believe, Ernest Holmes wrote the principles. This is what we believe. Ernest Holmes is the founder and teacher of our teaching. And he says, we believe in the healing of the sick and the control of conditions. And we have had some people in the movement not understanding this controlling word. And I have had a revelation so beyond my conscious mind, it woke me up. It woke me up because Stoicism is about control. It's about controlling our conditions. And I just went, well, of course it is. And of course Ernest Holmes was influenced by this gentleman who was into Stoicism and into teaching us how we can control conditions. And the first and foremost thing is to know what we can control and what we can't. And why are we spending time on and energy on things we have no control over? Does anyone do that? Oh my goodness, goodness, goodness. And so I got so excited about this principle because there is a way to control our conditions. And I'm going to get into that. So love is the essence of gentleness. So we're going to say there is only love anywhere and everywhere. Love is a principle, a God principle, meaning what is true for all. Love is one of those things that is true for all. But the experience of it is not. Principles mean nothing unless we're experiencing them. They're just words. And so this whole idea of giant gentleness is going to be our spiritual practice this week. So we have a principle and a practice. And the idea of giant gentleness is not to damp down who we are, knowing we can fly and soar, but also being cognizant and considerate of how we affect others, how we affect our world, how we influence our world. And honestly, getting involved in opinion is not helpful to our world. But knowing what we believe and standing in that is. So the idea is this love is the essence of who we are, and yet on this planet, doesn't it seem like it's kind of like you have to really pay attention to love? You know, being mindless of opinion and all of that, and gossip and all of that is easy. Getting sucked into things around us, to me, it seems really easy. Is that your experience? It's just so easy. To be mindless is easy. Love is full, mindful. It asks us to be mindful. So this is idea that giant gentleness is based, founded, full of love. That's who we have to be. Therefore, it is the very lives we live. When we bring our focus back to love through our practices, we shine love into the world. I know this sounds kind of yah-dee-da, hoo-hoo-hoo, peace out. However, this is something that is really taking a concerted effort. That's my story. Please be with me here. Does anyone else get caught up in other people's business?
Yes.
I used to have a mantra. I need mantras. I don't know about you, but I need mantras. Apparently, I have short-term memory because I just need mantras to keep myself going. So I used to say, is this my business? Is this her business? Or is this God's business? That helped me, And I could determine this is not my business. Even though it's juicy, it's not my business. With Stoicism, the question is this in my control or is this not in my control? So when we start talking about healing the sick and controlling conditions, it is about those things that we can control. And the body is one thing we can control in mind if we believe more. Remember, we're weighting this formula. We must believe more in wholeness, for example, than we do in diagnosis. Diagnosis is just a fact. It's not the truth. Can I control the behavior of Congress? Not so much. But can I vote? Yes, I can. Can I protest? According to Ernest Holmes, I can be for something and against nothing. And protests have changed government. And a peaceful protest is absolutely in alignment with our teaching. And it has been changing minds in government. So there are things we can do when we ask ourselves, what is in my control and what is not? Okay, I hope you can get excited about Stoicism with me. In Stoicism, focusing on the things that are within our control and accepting the things that are not is essential for living a good life. Why isn't that on the wall? The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. Mm-hmm. This is Epictetus. Ancient Greek. Hello. Well, these ideas need to be brought back and paid attention to. This is really good stuff. Here's one. The chief task in life, there's already an answer that happened at 300 BC or something. This is before Christ. The chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals, not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. I just pardon. Which are externals, not under my control? Are you thinking about something? Mm-hmm. Maybe that family member. Maybe that boss. Maybe that child. And which have to do with the choices I actually control. And so one thing we can do in all that we feel is out of control is be the practice of gentle giantness. Giant gentleness. We can be that. This sounds like such a peaceful way of being. Here's one, the last one. There are things which are within our power, and there are things which are beyond our power. Within our power are, I like that they kind of define it, opinion, aim, desire, aversion, and in one word, whatever affairs are our own. Beyond our power are body, property, reputation, office, and in one word, whatever are not properly our own affairs. Now, we're not talking about wholeness. We're talking about the physical things in the external world. And so we can then use love as our guide. What would love do is another mantra. I have been making a concerted effort to stay informed, but minimally. I just check in every day, make sure that everyone is still with us, and then I shut it off. And I hold vigil for my Congress, for my representatives, for my senators, for my president, for world leaders. I hold vigil. I turn away from behavior completely. And I even move a little bit into compassion. Have you ever been with someone who is completely out of what appears to be alignment? Saying things that are hurtful, doing things that are hurtful. I have learned to start asking, what could make that person behave that way? And I will not add to that. I will not add to that. Rather, I will look at what could have made that happen to find my way to compassion. And it's like, okay, there are times when I have not been in alignment with my beliefs, and I cannot look at another human being acting out and not reflect. But what can I do about it? I can go to compassion and not add to it. In other words, not stoke, is that right? Stoke the fire?
Yeah.
If you're going to give me words, why wouldn't you give me the right words? Is that right? Stroke? Oh, I like this. Apply love liberally to every circumstance and situation. We are in dire need of our assistance. We want to put generously love into the world. That's what we're called here to do. And when we talk about act rather than react, we're talking about gentleness asks us to act rather than react. To give space and breath to our frustration and fears and not let them rule us. To take a step back. Check in with the body. How am I feeling? When I get mad, it's time to stop, drop, and pray. Because I'm reacting, and that has nothing to do with anyone else. I can react to things that are happening, and that person doesn't even know. So I'm busy reacting, right? Make sure I'm reacting on it, on them, and they're just busy doing their own thing, going to the grocery store, shopping, hanging out, and I'm over there just miserable, suffering. And I'll do that for a while. And then I'll say, enough. Enough. What can I do to go back to love? What can I do to return to love? What can I do to remember that oneness principle? That oneness principle means like, we are one. Oh, yikes. There are absolutely important things in this world that deserve our attention, time, and love. And I think Earth Day is a good example of that. Look how far we've come because of that one person making a difference, creating the entire world of activity around Earth Day tomorrow. All the kids in schools, and they're learning about Earth Day. We are so much more aware and awake to what is good for all. That's what we want, good for all. And I think we're discovering that together because we are so connected now through the internet, through media, we're just so connected. It's kind of a really loud bit of news when somebody is not doing what is good for all, isn't it? It's just so loud. It's like, you did what? You said what? No, you didn't. And just remember, what we resist persists. And fighting, even for a good cause, is resistance. We're not fighting. We're not against something. Things like equity and civil rights, those are good for all. We don't need to be against what's happening. Because why? Because that's the science of mind tells us what we give attention to expands. What we resist persists. That ugly that's going on, we just grow more ugly. We can do that very easily. So I want to talk a little bit about Ralph Waldo Emerson, who actually went by Waldo.
Really?
He went by Waldo, and he was named after his aunt. I think that was her last name or whatever. But now remember, because I like history. I don't know if you like history, but I like to know like little facts. Like Ernest Holmes was born 5 years after Emerson passed. And so they weren't of the same era by any means. But when you look at that genealogy chart, don't think there was centuries and centuries between them. It was just 5 years. And Emerson was a perfect example of stand for something, because he and others were the initiators of transcendentalism. And what was transcendentalism? Basically, in a nutshell, by Sharon, this is those people that thought it was a good idea to get out there with God is within us, not without us. Connecting us to each other. This was transcendentalism. So you're starting to see how many ways Emerson, influenced Ernest Holmes. God is within each one of us. The power is in us. It is not something that we have to beg for, attention, or beg for its love, or beg for its forgiveness. No, we forgive ourselves. It is within us. And so this was a wonderful thing. And he was, as this says, I like this, the way they describe him, a virtue ethicist who characterized virtue as moral action. Remember that in Stoicism, they had the 4 virtues as the base. And one of them is justice. And I'm going to elaborate a little bit on that. He was very much an abolitionist. Another not so popular idea at the time. So he was standing for freedom. He was standing for we have the power, not go to a religion or a dogma or a teaching that takes the power away from you. that makes you do certain things in order to gain the power. I'm surprised he lived as long as he did. He was quite radical. Quite radical. He was an essayist and a philosopher. His philosophy, and I believe our philosophy, remember, we are science, philosophy, and religion. Now I have a kind of a deeper, more excitement about philosophy, including Stoicism, which is a philosophy, a beautiful philosophy that intersects with our teaching, so that I put these pieces together. And I'm like, that's what this is. I got the science, I got the quantum physics, I got the spirituality, the prayer, and the beautiful spiritual practices as our religion. Our religion is love, right? And the power is within us. And the philosophy is this idea of Stoicism, or the influence of the ancient Greeks. And he was also a champion of individualism and a critical thinking, as well as a critic of countervailing pressures of society and conformity. Oh, he did not. He was a nonconformist, which we all are. He wanted us all to recognize ourselves as nonconforming and conforming only to one thing, and that is our purpose. And what's important to each one of us individually. Nietzsche thought he was the most gifted of the Americans. All of them. And Walt Whitman called him his master. He was good friends with Napoleon Bonaparte. Not Napoleon, but Napoleon Bonaparte's nephew, Prince Achille Marat. They were totally besties. Yeah, my uncle was Napoleon. Oh, really? My bestie's uncle was Napoleon. I think that he was an ordained minister. He was raised by a minister, he became a minister, and he left the church because of the dogma. And said, nah, I think I'm going to start my own philosophy. And he did. And so I want to talk about justice in Stoicism. Are you loving this? I'm loving this. So Stoicism is for those of us looking for peace of mind, resilience, clarity, and general happiness. I'm in. Okay. Justice specifically, remember there's 4 of these virtues, and justice specifically refers to our relationships with others, emphasizing fairness, empathy, and community service. You thought it was the law, right? No. Harmonizing our actions with the common good, and treating others with respect and fairness. I'm lapping this up like a dog in the water bowl. It is not just a legal concept, which is how it is understood today, but a broad idea that covers personal ethics and social responsibility. The opposite of this is to do what benefits us to the detriment of the community. Do we know people like that? Do we want to give attention, our attention, to people like that? Because if we do, we are contributing negative attention. And it's really important for us to get that. If you want to do something about the way things are, be the way you are. It's unbelievably wonderful. Holding the people in their society to the same moral standard as they hold themselves. We're trying to do that. We are trying to look at the laws of the land and see, do they hold us? Do they work? Under the Stoic framework, justice includes both negative and positive obligations. I thought this was interesting. Negative justice involves abstaining from harm. For example, there should be no theft, injury, or deceit. Positive justice involves active benevolence, helping others, advocating for fairness, and contributing to the common welfare. I want to do that. Justice in Stoicism is also understood as an expression of love. Can we remember this? When we think about what's around us and we think about justice for all, this is what we're thinking. This is what we're thinking. And how we understand this as an expression of love is A, accountability, holding ourselves accountable for our intentions and actions towards others. It doesn't say anything about holding someone else. It says hold ourselves accountable. And then community engagement is part of it. Engage with our communities, aiming to impact them positively. And isn't our outreach ministry designed for that purpose? But there's more we can do as a global mind in the center. As a global centers for spiritual living, we are absolutely for justice. And then last, empathy. Strive to understand the perspectives of others and treat them as we would wish to be treated ourselves. And I have thought quite a bit about that because I have come under attack. Have you ever decided to get out there with your belief and state your mind and claim your good, and someone says something cruel and awful? And I am now learning to say what could make someone do that. And that is my bridge to compassion. Because then I have to say, when have I done that? And if I can find the compassion for myself, I can find the compassion for anyone. For anyone. Practicing justice is not an easy thing. Isn't that strange? I find that interesting. It's such a beautiful principle. And we're saying this morning, love is not easy, justice is not easy. We know this journey to self-actualization is a concerted work. It's our purpose, it's our life's work. And I don't know about you, but I can forget that. I really can. I can be influenced. And I have to be super careful about that. I have even, I like to use social media to connect everyone with this center and me, and I want to build this community center. And I can get distracted. I don't know if you can. If you get online and you're on there to do something, and then all of a sudden that gets you to go there, and then you go there, and you go there, and by the time you're finished, you're absolutely exhausted, and you don't know what you started out with. Has anyone had that experience? It's really important for us to be mindful of what attention we're giving. Can we do that this week? Our practice is giant gentleness. That's our practice. And what is that? What is the essence of giant gentleness? Love. We are practicing love. And it often requires us to reject attractive opportunities that benefit us, but do not benefit others. Do we see that situation in the world? This benefits that person, but it doesn't do good for us. What must we do in that situation? We must go to that place within us and ask ourselves, how am I benefiting others in this situation? Does this thing I want to do, does this behavior I want to demonstrate benefit others? Then that's not codependent. Taking care of others at our expense? No. This is a much more expansive idea. Is this good for all? So we have a couple of mantras here. Is this in my control or out of my control? Is this my business, her business, or God's business? And last but not least, is this good for all, this thing I want? Is this good for all? Have you ever been in a situation and done something that is not good for anybody but yourself? Not us. No hands, good. It's difficult to really treat other people in the same way we treat ourselves and to constantly have a wider society at the forefront of our decision making. You know, we know this. Do we practice this? I literally am doing little baby steps. Like I told you last month, I started in on right speech. Wow. I wanted to say so many things that had to get stuck in my mouth. Because what comes out of my mouth, I can't put back in. But God, what is that it feels good to talk smack? What is that? Now, I will call my prayer partner and I'll say, do you have a minute for me to talk smack? Because then it's out of my body, right? It's out of my body, and then we pray, and then I'm restored. So it's not like, we have to shove things down and, deny ourselves our feelings or any of that. But we find the appropriate person that will meet us in love. We don't find that person that's going to add it. Oh, yeah. Oh, my. I know. Right? Because I find them too. But when I'm practicing this, though, one is not the same as the others. And it doesn't feel right, does it? Once you set your mind to a discipline, it just doesn't feel right. The virtue of justice can inform debates on social justice, equity, and human rights. We are in a place of healing the sins of our forefathers. Racial discrimination, women's rights, it just goes on and on and on. And we cannot, I promise you, we cannot go forward and make big strides for humanity through anger and vengeance and retribution. We must proceed through love. And we're learning that. And so when we're at the table and everyone gets a seat at the table, and that anger and vengeance and upset starts coming through and cutting off our conversation to each other, that's when it's most important to just stop and ask. Tell me your story so I can understand where you're coming from. But I'm going to do it quickly because I am not responsible for your anger. I don't need to hold it. I don't need to be around it. I don't need to take it in. I don't need to be offended by it. I don't need it. But I'm willing, if you're willing, to stay in the conversation if we can come from love. I want to hear. I want to learn. This last weekend, I was with my colleagues from seminary, and I was there for an ordination and an installation, and I had the honor of speaking at both. And we had quite a reunion of some of our students and some of the people from San Jose that I miss. And we have talked a lot about what doesn't work in dialogue, because what our experience was in seminary created the Diversity and Inclusion Commission. But it was very hurtful. It was like, oh my gosh, that was so awful. We need a healing. We need something to come from it. So we really were the victims of this tragedy of ignorance, not knowing how to talk to each other. And a lot of pain flew around and hurt forever. Again, words. Once they leave your mouth, they cannot be put back in. And we can recite in memory what was said that was mean and hurtful, unfortunately. You don't forget those things. And that is not the way. The way is love. The way is love. Stoic justice is broader than legal justice. It includes personal ethical conduct and benevolence towards others. It's so big. I love this idea that I understand this principle of justice in this way. It is beautiful. These Greeks, they just, they sat around in their robes talking about these deep conversations with their little bare feet and sandals, like, what say you about justice? And then they wrote all this down, and it's just so marvelous, I think. And then to find out that Emerson was very involved in this philosophy, and then to find out that Ernest Holmes was influenced by Emerson, and that we have the control of conditions, and on and on and on. I've been putting puzzle pieces together that I've never put together. And I've been in this teaching since, 1994, 30 years or something? None of this was explained to me, although I am making a lot of this up. I mean, I'm putting it together. No one has done that I know of. So just remember, you have to listen to other people. But doesn't it make sense? There has to be a connection here. There has to be. And of course, I want to ask Ernest Holmes when I get there, hey, were you a Stoic? I mean, I think he was a lot of things. I think what he was is, I believe in everything, so when I get there, I'm covered. That's my belief, right? And I'm thinking, well, why not? He took all the great stuff and he put it in this, synergy, right? He just took it all and put it together for us. But he didn't exactly say anything linking, although he did definitely talk about Emerson. And so, last but not least, right? We are not creating giant gentleness. We're cultivating it. We're not creating love. We're cultivating it. We're not creating justice. We're cultivating it. I love that. We are cultivators. We are encouraging and spreading it. We support us and our community by doing this spreading of this philosophy in our communities. Doing good works in the world, and doing good works in the world includes behavior. Oh, Mr. Bill. It includes us doing something good. We are called to share and shine the gentleness into every dark corner. I love this. We take this awareness, compassion, gratitude, and love to new levels and greater heights. This is our grand rising. Life is ever evolving, and it's obvious in the way we used to do and think about things. Now we can stand for love. And, a lot of people have stood for love. John Lennon. He did funny things, hanging out naked with, Yoko to get attention. Or what was he trying to get attention for? Peace. Peace. I'm going to blow your mind so that you look at me, and then I'm going to sing about peace. I just am so inspired We remember there's more to life, and whatever is before us is ours to do and ours to be. And we want to become like a radio where we channel the station that is got the good news. You know, for example, I always say, you know, there's the news reporter and the newscaster. And the news reporter reports the news. You don't feel a bias. You don't feel an opinion. We have newscasters now that you know exactly who and who they're, you know, upset with, and who they have an opinion about, who their bias is on all sides. You know, listen to the news that gives you the news, but doesn't take you down the rabbit hole of, you know, condemnation and snarkiness. I literally, I am abstaining from snarky newscasters. Why? Because I'm holier than thou? Heck no! I can get snarky. I'm right in there. I get on the bus. I'm in the front seat. I'm like, I know. So do those things that help you to be this in the world, to be this giant gentleness. We choose to breathe and act, not react. That's been a dream of mine for a couple of years now, and I gotta say, I'm kind of smitten with myself. You know, I'm still reacting, but I'm not apologizing. I like that. You know, I'm just, and then I go to response, and then I find my way. Now, it's not always perfect, and it doesn't have to be. But if our intention is loving kindness, if our intention is right speech, it's going to be felt. You know, it's going to be felt. We choose to love everyone and everything, and here, drum roll, even when we disagree. I don't know about you, but self-righteousness, mastery. Why is that? It's like my way or the highway is that's kind of a funny way of. This giant is expanding and growing because we call it forth, because we choose a world that works for everyone. Life is worth living and loving for all of us. The giant gentleness is for all of us. So everyone you see, we're going to be the practice of seeing that human sentient being as a gentle giant. And we can influence. Are you with me? Do you love Stoicism?
Sure. Yeah.
Me too. We may hear a little bit more about that. But let us pray. And I know there is a power that is known to all. A power greater than ourselves, a power creating life out of itself. All life. There is a universe created by this power, by this mind, by this intelligence, by this love. It's so perfect, complete, and whole. The stars know what to do. The moon knows when to rise. The tides know when to come in and go out. Oh my goodness. There is a beauty that created things like the flowers in front of the podium that our beloved Patricia brought to us. And this power creates in and through its creation. So I am creating as well. I am the co-creator. I know that for each of us. And I'm using this one mind. This one mind that if I open my mind to this infinite mind, the downloads are extraordinary. They move me and they change me. The ahas are just bliss. And I'm changed forever when this power is changeless. It is available to all of us. In every moment, I can open more to the power within me to walk on this earth as if the power of love propelled me. The power of justice, the power of peace, the power of equity and freedom. I can influence my world, and I can forgive myself, my human frailties. I can forgive myself, my laziness to rise up into intention. I can forgive myself just knowing I am a finite human. And I know I'm a divine human. And I choose to walk in choice. I choose to walk in choice. To take my time and decide, is this good for all? Is this external experience in my control? Is this love? I am so grateful. I am so grateful to Emerson, to Ernest Holmes, to the Christ, to all who stood on this earth for love, for justice, for peace. I am so grateful. I am so grateful. And I'm especially thankful that this prayer is answered. That this is who I am and whose I am. I am so grateful for the law that says, yes, this is so. I will make it happen. And so please affirm with me as we say, and so it is. Amen. Ashe. Shalom.
This song comes straight to us from Ernest Holmes. is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now.
One life,
One life,
one heart,
one heart,
one mind,
one mind, one love.
one
One heart, one mind, one love.
Please welcome Gwen.
Okay. So much. We have a new song because we have a new song.
Okay. I love this time in the service when I feel so full of ideas and music and just the energy that we create here. I gotta say, Gwen, you are a fabulous addition. Just this rock and jazz stuff going on is just phenomenal. I love it when Sue starts sounding like Carlos Castaneda, their guitar, you know, and Laura gets that earthy stuff, and then the choral. Oh, it's just
You
fabulous.
might mean Carlos Santana.
Yeah. What did I say?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Sorry, Santana, Carlos Santana.
I want to hear the tone.
Now I understand.
It's nice to have some feedback. Going, well, excuse me?
That's right.
But the other part of that is when I am this full, there is a natural overflowing. And that overflowing is the universe's way of giving and receiving and giving and receiving. So this is our time that we have given as a church, as an organization, as a community to you. And it's time for the community to let that rise up and overflow and come back. Because that's how you get more of that feeling of fullness, is you give and it comes back, and you give and it comes back. So, it is absolutely a sacred service. It's a spiritual practice. It's kind of like when you, it's what Reverend Sharon was talking about today. When you are confronted with something that doesn't agree with you, how do you respond? And we say, give love, give compassion. Okay? This is the same. What are you giving? It's a sacred practice. Where you give, we activate and increase our own flow of good. We do. It's kind of hard to know what to say because it's so simple and so profound that what you give is what you receive. So when you have received food for your soul, for your life, be sure to give back and support it so that that giving process, that energy can keep flowing. It's also good for your taxes, it pays our bills. There's some real practical, real world stuff to it, but mostly it's that spiritual energy that you want to flow into. I'm told that we can give, of course, by the basket's going to come around. You can donate online, and we used to say send a check to our P.O. box. We don't have a P.O. box anymore. You know why we don't have a P.O. box? Because we have a physical building with a mailbox now. It's like real world.
Right.
So let's say our abundance affirmation together. In consciousness of abundance, I give freely, knowing that I am freely given to. Yeah. And our song?
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Why don't you come do announcements? Oh, prayer requests. That's why we're waiting. You all heard my demonstration? That came from me asking my practitioner, my prayer partner, for a treatment. So you can ask for anything. And we love to treat for you. We love to treat for your abundance, and whether it's financial or health. Talk to us. Let us support you. That's what we're here for. So you can put a message online, and it goes out to all the practitioners, and we pray for a week. And we've had a busy week.
Yes, we have.
And Larry's improved health is part of what we've been working on this week, and it's good. So for the rest of the announcements, I'm going to bring
Me.
you. Oh, okay.
So, Edna McMahon, is there something happening after service today?
Today is Song Circle Day.
Woohoo!
So if you'd like to sing, or just enjoy hanging out with people that sing, come join us at Song Circle. We're learning a new song that hopefully we'll be able to perform in April. So it's going to be fun. In May, sorry. This is April. Yeah, so come hang out with us. We're here just for a little while to practice the song and to enjoy each other's company and some music. So join us.
And don't forget, all of these slides are on our website. So if you don't get it all right now, you can go there. saccsl.org. So yay, we have our volunteer day back on the calendar. It's next Saturday. And as you could see, Larry has got us ready. What we need to do is clean up and get ready for installation and sheetrock. And so we're going to do that together. So please bring finger foods if you want to share. We're going to do some cleanup. It's probably going to, I think, rain. I think there was some rain in the forecast.
It's kind of gone away, and now it's Thursday and Friday, so we may be good.
If it is raining, come anyway. We'll have a canopy between the U-Haul and the center, so you won't get wet. So don't worry. And this is ongoing, and so if you haven't been, you can still go anytime. Richard Rohr is a marvelous writer, speaker, And of course, Reverend Patricia is.
We're having
Patricia.
fun. We're having fun.
Yeah. it is.
Going deep.
And so I just wanted to let you know that if you have or know of anyone, and they don't have to be, in our center, or they don't have to be, involved in our center, but if they are, an event planner or a fundraiser by trade, we could certainly use that talent. And they may want to serve a nonprofit for their good in the world. So think outside the box. If you think you could be that, please let us know. Talk to any one of us on the board. I do have 2 classes coming up, and one is History of New Thought with Ernest Holmes, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Thomas Troward, and Emma Curtis Hopkins. So this is going to be pretty exciting. It's going to be 10 weeks on Zoom on Tuesdays. So please join us for that. I'm doing an online and in-person class consecutively. So if you don't care for the computer idea, come in person to the art and science of spiritual mind treatment. And what I'm really excited about this is, as I've been teaching classes, I find that people are, not sure about spiritual mind treatment. It's fine that other people do it for them, but it isn't something I would do for others. I don't have that kind of confidence or whatever. Come, and what is going to be so good about this is it's going to be our first Saturday classes again, meaning that the first Saturday of the month we will come together and we'll take deep dive into spiritual mind treatment and the science behind it, and make it so that everyone can do a spiritual mind treatment. So please come and let's pray. Again, this class is going to be here in person, where we can really get intimate about this. And how many of you have taken a class with me and we do spiritual mind treatment at the beginning of every class? And doesn't that make you feel a little more comfortable each time? Yeah. And so don't be afraid. I'm easy about that. So would you like to come back up and do the affirmation?
No, go for it.
So why don't we say this together? It was a little bit different. I kind of tweaked it a little bit. So let's say together our weekly affirmation. I breathe gentleness into my world. Isn't that lovely? I breathe gentleness into my world. And I had a lovely little bird whisper in my ear that tomorrow starts Passover.
Yes.
So let's know that the in Judaism, Passover is for the freedom of the Jews, and it's beautiful. So thank you for that. We celebrate all faiths and all walks. Can I say thank you to our musicians?
Yes.
Apparently they practice during the week and give their time and talent to us. We are so blessed. And I wanted to include that in our benediction today, because just knowing that these words, this music, it's all this gathering of community, this sense of belonging is our reason for the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living. And as we grow, the community will know us and feel welcome. And what we're here to do is walk the path of love. It just doesn't get better than that. And so it is.
So it is.
Thank you, Rev-Sharon, for always appreciating us. I think you manifested us.
I'm a fan.
And because of all of you, we're inspired. We're very inspired. It's wonderful for us. I can say for myself, it's wonderful. Is it wonderful?
It certainly is. It certainly is. And I'll tell you what, this next song, be careful, because it gets stuck in your head, and you sing it all week long.
Oh,
It's awesome. Sue did a good job with this one, too.
I wrote it many, many years ago, and I never found the place where it would fit. Little did I know I was writing this place.
There you go.
Because I believe in music is sound healing, and Gwen is going to join us on that. And we're going to, with your permission, in the future you'll see something come of that.